My today's confession is my players. I mean, I've made up a lot of my story. I have made up a lot of my story. But in the very beginning, I talked about like we had a session zero where because they were pretty much new to D&D. They've only done one game, and that was with a store owner. She had these little tiny we played as little tiny dragons that were part of different classes, and I had a small thing. This village was being had people going missing, and it was kind of ghouls just eating them, and that's all. There wasn't any major thing to it. They had the mayor who was there but very absent. He was very buddy friendly, but really didn't give a damn. And it had an orc bartender who I imagined was really like, I'm awesome, but I don't do that life anymore. And then that was pretty much it. And I mean, there was an undertaker whose sister had gone, who was one of the ones that went missing. But we did a session zero, and I thought, and I've talked about it. It was the zombie attack. Well, as we were going through that zombie attack, they're asking questions like, "Well, why is the ghouls targeting these people? What's going on? Like, why is this?" I'm like, "I have nothing. Just fight my ghouls." Obviously, I didn't say that, but that's what I was thinking, and I'm trying to come up with stuff like right off the bat. And somehow it came to the Undertaker's sister had these ghouls, like these ghouls. Well, they shouldn't have them, but these ghouls were underneath her house, living there, and then they ate her. And somehow she's now one of the people who makes. Not now, she's dead, but one of the people who makes the tunics for the kingdom, the guards of the kingdom. And, she's one of them somehow, but she's gone. She's gone now. She was eaten by the ghouls, and she was killed by the ghouls and eaten because ghouls eat the dead. And the mayor turned out, he somehow never thought of it until this session zero and session one. That was the love of his life. She didn't reciprocate out in public, but she ended up dead. And that kind of became the basis of his whole thing. And she was the Undertaker's sister. So, and the whole religion that I made up was all about, the dead. They don't worship death. They accept it and they know it's coming. And they're okay with it. And they don't do everything to stave it off, but they don't, they don't willingly just go out and have something end them. No, they're just normal, but they don't, they, how do I say this? They don't grieve when you die. They do a whole wake and ceremony, but they celebrate your death, kind of thing. And all the clerics and are like the grave domain. I'm pretty sure that's under their account right now, but I'm using it on you. And all that stuff. A whole religious system going for it. And being the Undertaker, he's part of that because he takes the graves. He's that town's kind of religious man, holy man. Well, when they were fighting the ghouls were going after him and all that stuff. And like literally all of this came to be just at the table. Right at the table. And it was when I was prepping it, when I was writing in my notebook. Yes, I write everything in my notebook. None of that existed. It was like, here's the mayor, this is the town's name, this is a few of the key people in the town, one of which I completely made up because my ranger almost died on session zero. So, yeah. I had to be like, oh, the town needs a healer. There's a healer right there in the tavern where he died. She runs out and heals and brings him back. Welcome back to the fight. It was panic moves, and that entire first few sessions were just panic moves. But, that made the whole basis of the story I have, with the necromancer. coming up. He's trying to release Levistus with from his prison because they have a deal going on. That necromancer's now the warlock of Levistus is his patron, and all of that panic improving made this story that my players now utterly enjoy. It made, hey, there was a long centuries, eons ago, this war on this realm where the lords of the nine hells and their minions and the gods fought on this plane, reshaping the earth, just fighting each other. And then again, like it's like last session or the session before last session, actually, my Dragonborn, he made up this whole. I know I've said this before. He made up this his backstory, which I loved. He befriended a human, and then that human turned on him and wiped out his entire clan. Totally, my confession here, totally forgot what it was named. I don't remember what his clan was named at all until he was like, hey, I'm trying to, this elven city would have a library. Do you think they have any history on the Silver Ashen clan? I'm like, right, that was his name. That was his clan's name. Yeah. And then improv just hit me. And I'm like, I mean, these elves, they did dealings with your clan. So this is what this, here we go. And then that started a whole, like every fantasy with dragons has a whole dragon war. And this was the start of your this was the start. This is why your clan was called the Ashen Clan, because they were silver dragonborn who, in the final battles of the dragon war, took on an ancient red dragon by themselves. And in the end of the fight, there was just a few of them remaining, and they came out covered in ash. And so they made their own clan, the Silver Ashen Clan. And that war wiped out all the dragons, and all that was left was the Dragonborns, and the dragons created the Dragonborns for their armies. And that's how that came about. And I'm telling you, it was this simple improv. That's like, I'm stumbling all my words. I don't script these. I just say what's on my brain. And this is how my brain works. This story is made at the table. And yes, I have a way of where it's ending and a few things in the middle of where I want them to be, especially with these magic items. But those first few sessions, and then I'm still sometimes panic improving, and we're all making that story. They're making the story with the questions. Hey, what is this? What's going on here? Hey, this doesn't make sense. What's going on here? Okay, let me figure this out. Let me fill up the plot hole that I didn't even know I made. And then they love it. They're all for it. Especially my cleric, who, was at that fight with the devils and gods eons ago and was thrown through time and lost his memory, which he's just now trying to get back because he just saw that in the very beginning, I called it the Immortal Wars. And in that lady who the ghouls killed, she had a book on their shelf called The History of the Immortal Wars, or The Myth of the Immortal Wars, something like that. And for some reason, my players took it. They put it in their inventory. I'm like, oh, sure. I really had nothing other than the Lords of the Nine Hells and the gods fought on this plane. That was it. So if they wanted history, that would have been another panic thing. But I've been working on that. Because of the who joined later, way after the first few sessions. Like he never fought the zombies. He didn't fight the ghouls. He didn't fight the griffins. I don't think he fought the haunted house that I made, but he did fight the king's general advisor, which is basically his spy master, because the rogue was like, hey, he's a vampire. Let's fight them at level 3. Full vampire lore. Fight him at level 3. They did pretty good, actually. Crazy enough. Mainly because I didn't do everything that the vampire could do, but they did pretty good. So he was there for that fight, and he doesn't make the rogue live that down at all. He tells him, "Hey, remember that time we fought the Vampire Lord and almost died with all the guards fighting us?" Yeah. So that's just what I wanted to say. There was a lot of improv, a lot of panic improv, and the players and me making this.